They may be watching you, but I'm watching them. This is Gabriel Custodiet. Just to let you know that the episode you're about to listen to is going to be great, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. If you're new to privacy or looking for a clear vision of next steps, start by going to escapethetechnocracy.com. All our cutting-edge analysis about escaping the surveillance grid occurs exclusively on our paid newsletter, Watchman's Torch, and in our world-class video tutorials. This podcast is just a preview. This is not some game for us. We live this stuff and we consult on it. Your support means we have no sponsors and can speak the unmitigated truth as we see it on this show. Check out the show notes and escapethetechnocracy.com. Just an editor's note here. I've been sitting on this episode for quite a while, many weeks, actually multiple months. I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to publish it, but then I shared it with someone and they gave me the following advice, which I'm going to pass along to you. This is really important information. If you have trouble hearing it, then go to 1x speed. Make sure that's what you stay on for this episode. And then if you still can't hear it, go to YouTube and follow the captions. So I recommend you do that. On to the show. I'm very pleased today to be joined by Alberto Hill. And Alberto Hill, if that name kind of sounds familiar to some of the audience, yeah, he was that guy who was in the Darknet Diaries episode 25 back in 2018. And he was a guy who was whose story is that he was wrongly convicted in Uruguay. It's a story about judges' ignorance of technology that can cost someone their freedom. It's a story about how having certain items in your house is itself enough to get you convicted, potentially. It's a story about how doing good deeds online can come back to hurt you. It's a story about police psychological abuse and many other things. So I'm very interested to be talking to Alberto today. So Alberto, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. Thank you, Gabriel, for having me here.
Absolutely. And then just to summarize this story briefly for people, because they probably want to check down that episode of Darknet Diaries. But, famously, you were on episode 25, the episode called Alberto. And basically what happened was you are playing around with a hospital online systems. You find a serious problem where you can log in as admin. And so you report that, right? You report that. And then 2 years later, you get a message saying to come to the police station, and then you get accused of basically sending a ransomware email to that same hospital. And they claim it was your IP address. So you end up serving 9 months in prison before you are taken out, and my understanding is exonerated. And it was obviously very stressful along the way. You talk about how you overdosed on Xanax because of the stress that was going on. So just want to make sure, how comfortable are you talking about these things these days? Are you doing all right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I am really happy to be able to talk about this in any opportunity that I can. Okay, sometimes, yeah, I get a little bit tired of repeating the story because, yeah, for example, me hanging around in places such Twitter spaces, yeah, people get to know me and, yeah, they're always asking me, oh, can you tell me your story? Yeah, so I have told my story like so many times that I cannot recall exactly. It's impossible for me to know how many times I have told my story. But when it comes to sharing my story, I am completely, yeah, comfortable. Actually, for me, it's a relief. It's like a therapy, being able to, yeah, to share my story with everybody, talk about it openly. I mean, I always said, I don't feel, I mean, you can ask me anything about what happened. Yeah, and I am happy to tell you or to tell anybody any details about it.
Well, that's good to hear, and yeah, you've handled it really well, and you even wrote a book about your experience as well. And I'll link to that book. It's called Operación Bitcoins: The Story of a Hacker Login to Hell. So I think that's a good title. Let me ask then some questions that you haven't been asked before, Alberto, and I think this will be useful to people who might at some point be stuck in a tricky situation like you were. And I wanted to, one of the things that stuck out about your story, besides just the ignorance of the judges and how unjust all of it was that when they raided your house, my understanding is that when they raided your house, this played a very big role in your conviction, right? And I'm just quoting here from the Darknet Diaries episode where he says that they seized from your house $1,400, 8,000 euro, 150 Brazilian dollars, 3,000 Uruguayan pesos, 6 laptops, 5 cell phones, a device to clone credit cards, 125 blank credit cards, 30 normal credit cards, 13 hard drives, a drive duplicator, a few routers, flashlight, a magazine full of CDs, a whole stack of Bitcoin hardware wallets. That was one of your interests. And then, 16 USB drives, two printers, a guy's fox, anonymous mask, a guillotine, probably like for cutting off the edges of books, right? So you can feed them into a PDF scanner, and hacking tools. Now, Alberto, to me, that sounds like a good time.
Well, wow, I was having the time of my life. I mean, I was living yeah, I was living the dream. Yeah, I had quit I was working for the largest company in Uruguay, that was the petrol company in the government. Okay, I had a very good salary, stability, security, but I was working in the probably one extremely corrupted company. That yes, okay. Once I started working there and realizing the things that were going on, I was feeling like, yeah, I was feeling like, okay, I couldn't live with that. No, I mean, it was not for me. And having been researching about blockchain, cryptocurrencies at that moment, okay, I said, okay, I, I have, yeah, I don't want to, I cannot keep working here. And I was feeling really bad. I mean, physically, mentally. So I went to the doctor and I told her, okay, there's something wrong with me. I feel really, really bad. I mean, I'm not okay. And the doctor, okay, I had all kind of analysis tests. I don't know, anything, a blood test, radiographies, um, tomographies, anything. And then the doctor, with the results, told me, Alberto, I have good news. Yeah, you're completely okay. There's nothing wrong with you. Uh, How can no? There's something wrong with me. I mean, I really feel terrible. And the doctor told me, okay, Alberto, tell me one thing. How do you feel in your life? I mean, emotionally, how do you? No, I'm okay. And in work, and I said, oh, in work, oh my God, no, I feel terrible in work. Okay, well, uh, maybe the problem is that you might be depressed. And, well, and then I went to a doctor, and yeah, I was feeling a deep depression because of, yes, I didn't realize it was affecting me big time. The place I was working in, a place there where people didn't actually care about doing what they had to do. They only were waiting till the end of the month to get their big paycheck. But they were really, yeah, I mean, doing things that were not okay. And I have access to files and, I don't know, things that were in front of my eyes, showing me clearly that, okay, there was a lot of corruption going there. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't actually deal with that. So I quit, despite of having this opportunity with working with cryptos. Okay, also for my health, I did quit because, yeah, I was feeling really like, okay, and very, very bad. And no, it was not for me, despite most of the people would kill to have a position in there. Okay, I would actually die being in a position like that, and I didn't want to die. So, yeah, I was doing pretty well after that, working with cryptos. I mean, investing in cryptos, buying and selling cryptos, in particular, yeah, bitcoins at that time. Uh, I don't know, doing certain, I don't know, business with the ledger in France. I was selling ledger wallets here in Uruguay, working with a company in UK, Uquid cards that were cards that debit cards that you can charge with cryptos, any kind of cryptos. Yeah, I was doing all kind of things in that field, and I was doing really, really well. And mostly, I was doing something that I really enjoy, because also I was involved in security related to that field, so I was really happy. Yeah, and economically it was really well. I was with, yeah, emotionally, yeah, I was with my partner for that I have been with 7 years, and I was in a situation where, yeah, I could actually, for the first time, actually considering establishing a family with her, and yeah, I was really, really having everything I wanted. Yeah, I was having I was living the dream, as I told you. And yeah, I was buying all the kind of device that were out there, about gadgets, related to security. When it comes to technology, yeah, I have the latest technology. Yeah, I mean, everything. I mean, all the toys that I wanted, I had, and I was really, really having a great time. Yeah.
And so I like when I read that list, I'm like, I have most of those things in my house. I don't see anything wrong with that. But did that played a big role in like that when that's presented to the judge or whoever? That probably didn't. That probably would was that a part of your conviction? Just how suspicious all this stuff looked in your house? Was that a problem throughout the whole trial?
Yeah, it was, yeah, a big problem. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I mean, the case was about a medical provider that was apparently, well, they in the files, it it was like it was hacked. Okay, and okay, it was about hacking a website of a medical provider, stealing information from there, and trying to commit ransom. Okay. um when it comes to all these things that were found and seized from my house, I mean, and then the prosecutor interrogating me, about, for example, why did I have a USB killer? Okay, for me it was like, okay, why are they
Why
asking for?
wouldn't you have a USB killer?
Yeah,
Is my question.
yeah, I mean, and then and he was like looking at me with eyes like saying, "Oh, how dare you?" Telling me, showing me a picture of from the file, the police taking a picture of a pen drive that with with a ruler next to the pen drive as evidence, saying, "Yeah, and why did you have this pen drive that had 12 viruses on it?" And I was like thinking, okay, at this point, do I enter into explaining to him that, okay, I use tools such as, I don't know, Metaxploit that creates all kind of, yeah, and pieces of code that are actually in order to, yeah, to create, not, yeah, the software to actually hack systems that, yeah, actually can be detected as viruses in order, yeah, to try hacking, but that doesn't mean to try hacking in hacking systems that without permission. It was just because, yeah, to try to know, to understand, as part of my work. So, and okay, now I was thinking that could make things worse. I mean, my answer to that question was like, I think that my in the translation in English would be like, meh. I mean, yeah. So there were 12 viruses. First of all, those viruses were detected, I can tell you, by the police plugging in the pen drive into a computer and running a vast antivirus. Okay, no, okay, hold on, wait a second. Uh, didn't they have actually to perform a forensic analysis where they make a copy of the pen drive, they make another copy, they never work on the original, they study one of the copies, and then they make sure actually that the pen drive is not connected to a computer directly in an environment laboratory where, okay, you can guarantee the integrity of the information, that is not being contaminated. a pen drive connected to a computer in the police station where they chose 12 viruses. Okay, yeah, I can say no. I didn't have any viruses. The police computer infected my pen drive with the viruses. So it was something that, okay, from the point of view of a computer forensics in a criminal case, that was something that for me, I mean, I thought, oh my God, uh, I cannot believe it, but those are the guys who are the experts that are actually the people that are giving the information for the case, for the prosecutors, they're the experts. Okay, I'm completely screwed up here. I mean, yeah, it was terrible. And how can they actually in the file of my case, and I have a copy now that I saw that I have in my living room. Yeah, they're having the picture of the photograph of the mask of Anonymous as part of the file of the case. What I mean, yeah, and it play a big role. Yeah, I mean, if I hadn't had all that, probably, yeah, they wouldn't have me perceived as that dangerous criminal that they painted in the media. Yeah, play a big role. Those credit cards that have nothing to do with extortion, hacking, that were blank credit cards, that were cards that were mine but expired. Yeah, that reader and writer of magnetic cards that for them were always credit card cloners. Okay, and okay, okay, you can call the cloner, but it's actually a writer and reader of magnetic cards. It can be used in a hotel. It can be used in many places. But yeah, if you say credit card cloner, it sounds like okay, you are really not seeing it, not perceiving it the right way. You are just pointing it as a use as something that is used for cloning credit cards, which is not a crime, but okay, can be, very likely be used to commit crimes. But yeah, that is just a very narrow view of that particular item. But yeah, they put on the media immediately that I was also cloning. I was also guarding because of that. Okay, they post on the media that jumping to the conclusion of me being into the carding, in the carding business. Okay, and at the end, none of the cards had anything that was related to cards that were, I don't know, cloned or fraudulent or stolen. No, they were all cards having my information or informations of my cards that I have duplicated. No illegal content was found in those hundreds of cards, but in the press, yeah, the, they said that I was on that business because of what I had, not because they have evidence to prove that I was actually committing crimes related to credit cards. Yep, yep, it all was against me, interpreted. I don't know if I think intentionally in a way that, yeah, it- the justice when they when it came to the way they 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 took the case, yeah, it was really hard on me because of all of that.
Yeah, it's just a reminder that when you're in front of a judge or let's say a jury, there's all these things that are brought in and they're not always dismissed as being irrelevant. And if you have, as Alberto did, this really cool, in my view, apartment full of all these devices and the poster with the anonymous and all the rest. I'm sure a lot of people have that, and it doesn't mean anything, right? It's just for fun, but these things can certainly come back to bite you when if unfortunately you're convicted of something or being convicted. I wanted to also ask you, Alberto, so this was another part of the story, was that after you got some of your stuff back, there was still your two-factor authentication that you still didn't have access to. And this was an interesting piece of this to me because we have our two-factor authentication apps or whatever the case may be, YubiKeys, and we have this to protect us. But if you ever lose access to them, or in your case, the police still have custody, you can't get into your important accounts. Have you? What was that like? And have you had any new thoughts on how to protect your accounts in case something like that were to ever happen again, so that you're not locked out permanently? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. After that, okay, first of all, I really needed to access to certain services. In particular, there was this service that was web. Uh, sorry, that was BTCE. That was one really large cryptocurrency exchange in 2017. That right after Alphabet was shut down, days after that was also shut down because of implications regarding that exchange being involved into laundry of cryptos that were part of cybercrime and the owner of the exchange. Okay, incredible, but yeah, that exchange actually was shut down. There was, okay, these sites have been seized by the FBI, blah, 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 but they opened again a month and a half after that with a new name that was WebX in New Zealand. And okay, the cryptos were there, and I was like, wow, unbelievable. Wow. But yeah, oh my God, I can't believe I'm so lucky. Okay, but at one point, okay, I was noticing that okay, the currencies there, the volumes, the prices were like okay, were were not there something that was going wrong in terms of yeah the way compared to other exchanges were working. The volumes were really weird and okay, and I said okay, I have to get this as soon as possible. And okay, yeah, username I knew it, password I knew it. Okay, now enter the two-factor authenticator, the code. Okay, the police has it. Oh my God, what do I do? Talk to my lawyer. Okay, I said okay, let's do this. I said to my lawyer, I will. How about okay? Uh, Talk to the prosecutor and yeah, give them this. This. Try to do this. I mean, I will give them all the credentials of all the all the passwords to enter into all the system computers devices that I have. I mean, hardware, the pen drives with encrypted uh, anything that I have in my computers that requires passwords. I will provide them to them. Also, passwords to any service of me on the cloud. I mean, I give them anything in order to access to anything that I have to to finish the investigation in terms of my equipment and yeah and get that because at that moment I had about $100,000 in that exchange. Okay, I was giving them basically access to everything. That is the dream of, I think, if you are in computer forensic, being provided that is like, wow, yeah, it's like winning the lottery. It's something that never happens. And yeah, okay, I will give them all to them, all the way to access to my encrypted cellular phones. Yeah, okay. They will not find anything that can basically, yeah, related to any crime or no. So yeah, let's do that. And he did that. He went and presented that to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor said, no, no, they didn't accept me supplying everything in order for them to access to the devices. Yeah, well, and what happened after that was what I was trying to prevent. At one point, yeah, suddenly one day that exchange in New Zealand, yep, you try to connect and okay, they yeah they couldn't resolve the domain name, yeah, so disappear. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. All my cryptos there, yep, that really affect me. And I said, oh my god, yeah, I didn't see that coming. When it comes to risk, okay, trying to protect my account with double factor authenticator, in this case Google Authenticator, instead of protecting me, put me in this situation where, yeah, I just, yeah, I didn't see that risk coming, and yeah, okay.
And how do you think you would do that differently today?
Well, right now, actually, unfortunately, well, that moment when you had Google Authenticator in one device, for example, in one cellular, okay, you needed that cellular to access to the codes of that you have stored in your Google account. But after that, a couple of years after that, Google Authenticator changes, and you could actually install Google Authenticator on any device, and with your Google account, you will see all the codes, synchronizing them. So you could have actually, I could buy a brand new cellular now and install a Google Authenticator, and using my Google credentials, I can see or get all the codes that I have stored there. At that time, no, it has to be the device where I enter the code, as I link the code to the service that could only be used. Right now, fortunately, no, I can use it in, I can get those codes in any device with my Google account. So at this point right now, that was amazing. So I would use it still the same way, knowing that at that point it wasn't possible, and I didn't see this event coming. So I always said test people when they were always at that moment claiming use two-factor authenticator for this and this and that. But I always say, okay, you are always recommending this as a way of securing your accounts and etc. But why nobody's actually telling you that, okay, there's a chance that actually you should be aware there, of the risk of, yeah, not having that. That might be a case, yeah, might actually be it can really be against you, and be, instead of protecting your account, can be preventing you for accessing your account. So, but nobody was actually saying that. They were all two-factor authenticator, used it because it will secure your account, will make it more robust. Yeah, yeah, that's right. But come on, say the fine print, and like in the medications, put side effects or warning or discuss something like that. People should know also that, yeah, it is a very good way of making your account more secure, but in certain cases be aware that can can also be something that can make you experience problems. Yeah, but with Google Authenticator right now, that is not an issue.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's good to think through these sorts of things, and whether that's a police raid or just, let's say, your house burned down or something like this. How is your data backed up? Do you have things in somewhere else? Because for a lot of people, Alberto, they have they feel locked down, but they're dependent on their apartment, right? And if somebody came in and stole all their stuff, or it burned down, they would be in serious trouble. So it's a good reminder to think through all of these sorts of scenarios.
Absolutely, absolutely. Actually, I was also guilty. I mean, of some things that are not best practice, that, yeah, that are not recommended, because I am not perfect. Even though I am in cybersecurity, I am a human being. So yeah, sometimes I know what is the best thing to do, but I don't do it. And I have, for example, a vault in a bank where, yeah, I have backups of the most important things to me, not in terms of secrets or things that, yeah, are related to crimes or no. I mean, things that are important for my life, like, I don't know, digital documents or pictures or videos that are important for me. Maybe they have absolutely no value for a third party, but I want to protect, and they're in the vault. Uh, and uh, I had a Ledger wallet, Ledger Nano S, and I have like another like 6 or 7 other Ledger wallets from other models. Okay, when the police returned me all the equipment because they found no evidence of them having been either a result or a tool to commit any crime. Okay, and the Ledger wallet Nano S, that was the only one that actually was having cryptos in there. They gave me the box, and I opened the box, and there was no device there. And I asked, okay, where's the device? And the police said, well, what? No, we seized the empty box. Are you kidding me? Why would you say it's an empty box? I mean, the search warrant was clear. The scope was electronic media. An empty box is not an electronic media. Okay, well, of course, they didn't have or any the chain of custody. Okay, it was something that was not present against all the what this should be done in this kind of procedures in order to guarantee the evidence is being properly treated. Okay, no chain of custody. How can you trace back that? Box to my house in hands of that person who has had that box, because I cannot believe that at one point, okay, somebody who have said received that box and open it and said it was empty, and I wanted that record in order to identify what happened, because how is that possible that, okay, all of the other wallets were having that, and that didn't have the device, and why would they say it's an empty box? But okay, but now the point is that it's not the end of the world if you have your recovery keys. Yeah, okay, the recovery keys are basically it's a paper where you have certain words that in case of losing the device, you can actually get another device like the one that you had, and you can recover the wallet, the contents of the wallet. It's a paper, our words are in a piece of paper. I really don't think they are electronic media, but yeah, they were seized by the police. So okay, a good practice, and they always tell you keep that card in another location, not where you have the wallet. And no, I made a mistake of actually having had that card, recovery card, along with in my apartment with the wallet, and that disappeared. So yeah, there I lost like 25 beacons, 27 beacons, cash, 1,000 Ethereum, sorry, 1,000 Litecoins, 100 Ethereum, etc., etc., etc. Okay, okay, then right now at this moment, yeah, I'm working really. It's a headache, but I'm working really hard on building a case against the government to, yeah, for uh, criminal charges and civil lawsuit for all these losses. But the thing is that, okay, in order to prove or to provide elements, evidence of that cryptos in my wallet, I have to provide so many documents and information regarding wallet addresses, amounts, and transference that are pages and hundreds of pages that will end up in a charge that will see that and will say, "What is this? What I have?" They will not have a clue, and do they have anybody that can actually be uh, helping the judge in those in a case like that? Uh, well, I don't think so. So it's a lot of effort in order to present that, and I think that the justice system here is not prepared still to actually even understand what I will be, what I will be actually be presenting. So it's frustrating. Not even my lawyer. I mean, have very clear what it is all about. These cryptos. I mean, yeah, there's a completely ignorance in all the fields that are like in lawyers and the justice system, police. That is really, really frustrating. So, yeah, that's another thing.
What are your thoughts on, maybe some thoughts on current practices, good practices for security or privacy related to cryptocurrencies? I know this is something that you have been working on for years. Do you have any thoughts on some of the latest tools or wallets, or what sorts of things interest you today in 2025 regarding cryptocurrency?
Well, the beauty, I don't know, I find it fascinating how, okay, well, Ledger Wallet in moment, okay, was one of the two manufacturers of hardware, cryptocurrency wallets to, to, yeah, for storing your cryptos. Okay, and they were the perfect secure solution. And it found it so lovely that the moment that I saw, okay, Ledger has they have identified Ledger wallets that were having their firmware altered, and criminals were actually selling them on eBay or on other sites. And yeah, people. I'm not saying that I'm happy for the victims, but I am saying that when I read that they were actually modifying the firmware of those wallets, and and people were actually putting their cryptos there, and the cryptos were going to to criminals. I said, okay, beautiful, I love it. I mean, yeah, so no system is secure, nothing is impossible to hack. I mean, yeah, and so that was so amazing, and really the learning is that okay, yeah, be aware of that. Nothing is secure. Yeah, I mean, no matter how they can try to sell you some solution or system, I mean, I love it that there's always somebody that either with good intentions, a researcher will find a way of actually hacking that, or a criminal. But yeah, that's insecure and I love it. But yeah, right now, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, and I don't know, they're basic things. I mean, mostly maybe in NFTs communities trying to help people there. I realized that, okay, wow, it's a very wild place, became really, really a place where, oh my God, the artists that were into NFTs were people that were amazing artists, but they knew not much about cybersecurity. And okay, I think that most of the people I have talked to that have spent, I don't know, some time in NFTs, they have all of them have been victims of hacking and losing their funds in their wallet. Most of them were actually using a MetaMask extension in Chrome, and they have all, in some way or another, been clicking on certain link in Discord or a DM in Twitter, and they have lost everything. And it was amazing. Uh, I mean, everybody. I was asking anybody here in a space have been a victim of hacking. And actually, then I realized the question is anybody here has not been a victim. And then somebody asking me, and how old you, Alberto? How have you been? And my answer was, okay, really honest. I said, no, not yet. Because, yeah, I mean, I think that I can perfectly be in there long enough. I would eventually uh, perfectly be hacked in that field. So, yeah, the recommendations are okay. Use different wallets in different devices, and do not put all the eggs in the same bag. Uh, just in the case of extensions or in wallets in extensions of browsers like MetaMask, okay, just have there only what you need to use, and then have the rest isolated in other devices, in other wallets, and okay, and mm, the all the basics. Do not click on links from people that you don't know. That's a must, because if they identify you as a person into NFTs, into cryptos, on social networks, on Instagram, you are going to instantly start getting DMs from any yeah, I don't know, huge amount of messages with all kind of texts that at the end have a link for you to click that will end up with you being infected, compromised. So yeah, that's a must. That most of the people that I don't know, they do click and they end up, yeah, being victim of that. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, one thing that I read about things that you talk in your podcast, and yeah, that, for example, that you mentioned things like use Monero for privacy issues. Yeah, that's another thing. People used to think initially, I use Bitcoin, so it's impossible to trace me. Okay, okay, that was initially people thought that. Right now, with blockchain forensics, everything is traceable. So, if you want privacy in the way you use cryptos, yeah, use Monero solution, for example, as I read the research in the things that you try to create awareness. Yeah, I agree with that absolutely. And then, well, also always, I mean, you can die. You can die. Something can happen to you, and you cannot eventually be able to access to a wallet that can have a lot of funds. Okay, always have a I don't know, a will or a way of, okay, somebody else in case of emergency being able, of course, somebody else you trust being able to actually access to that. Yeah, you don't want to have an accident, and then, yeah, that those cryptos being lost forever. Yes, also that. Mm, yeah, and that's it. And then, okay, your cryptos, never store your cryptos in exchange as a way of having a wallet in exchange. Okay, you should know that in exchange, you are not owning the cryptos, are not in your hands. The cryptos are in the hands of the exchange. So, yeah, so if something happens to the exchange, yeah, goodbye cryptos. No, only use cryptos in exchange, your cryptos in exchange when you are going to do a transaction. If not, do not use exchange as a way of storing your cryptos. Those would be more or less the recommendations that I have, but they're, yeah, basic. Not. I think that that's not saying something that is very something new. It's just
Well, it's good. It's good, realistic advice, though. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, what about this, Alberto? Another part of your story, and this is really what started all of it, is that you were trying to do a good deed, right? So you're checking out this hospital website. You realize there's a vulnerability, so you do a good deed and you tell the hospital that, hey, you have a serious vulnerability. Now, it seems like this this is probably the reason why 2 years later they blame you for something else is because you basically tried to help them 2 years ago. And what happens a lot of times, there's a lot of these stories where somebody is doing like penetration testing, or they're just poking around a particular website or software, and they find a vulnerability. They report it to that company, and that company gets mad at them, right? Because the company thinks, oh, why are you messing with our systems? Okay, we're going to come after you, or whatever the case may be. So you're trying to do a good thing, but in many cases, it actually comes back to harm you. What are your thoughts after all this time about how should people who are penetration testing, how should they go about reporting problems on public websites? Have your thoughts changed on that over the years?
Well, actually, in that particular case, okay, I did not report to the hospital the problem because I consider it was really, really severe. It was something critical, and I decided, okay, no, contacting the health provider is probably not the best way of dealing with this big problem that I have in my hands. I decided to contact the CERT of my country. I didn't contact the medical provider. I contact the CERT of my country, reporting them, okay, this is happening here. I can have administrator privileges here doing this admin, and yeah, because I thought, okay, these guys actually will have the responsibility as a government to, yeah, to go and take actions and enforce them to correct that and make sure that, okay, security, yeah, it has been, that problem has been solved. I thought that contacting the medical provider would be something, as you said, probably would get in hands of somebody from IT that would say that and dismiss, or wouldn't give relevance. I mean, who is this guy to actually tell us that something's wrong? I mean, I didn't, in that particular case, I thought the best way to deal with that was due to the severity to contact the CERT. And then, okay, then the CERT will have to go to the provider, will have to make them correct the problem, and then the CERT will be responsible for that in case they, I mean, they will have to make it correct the problem, and the medical provider will have to follow the search. I don't know how to say it. Not asking, but forcing them to solve. I mean, I imagine that in that case, if I was in charge of a cert without problem, I would I would have the authority to say, okay, you are, until you do not correct this, and actually with that, if you have this problem that is so basic, okay, what other problem do you have? So I would actually force them to correct that, and okay, before operating again, or and I would force them to actually run pen testing on their system, or an auditory of the security of the system, just to make sure that there's nothing more. Because actually, in Shagri's other story and what you said, there was an element missing in 2014 that happened at Minami. But then in 2015, my girlfriend again asked me to enter there for certain information, and that time I didn't need admin to access to the medical records. I realized that I could bypass authentication, and I could access to all the medical records, only modifying one parameter in the URL, in a certain URL. Yeah, I mean, just changing one number that was sequential, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the URL. I was browsing through all the medical system, records without even entering a password username. At the same time, I reported that to the CERT the same way I did a year before. So it was the second time. But yeah, I entered into the system. I just was in front of the system of the screen, and I could say, okay, I couldn't help it, but I could smell that, okay, something is wrong here. And I felt that curiosity to try something, and yeah, it worked. And I said, oh no, I should have, I should have stopped. I should tell my girlfriend to enter herself here because this is terrible. Now I have another problem in my hands, so another mail to the start reporting, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and so it was the second time. Uh, my thoughts are, for first of all, what I did it with curiosity. It wasn't anything invasive. I wasn't actually altering or I don't know. It was not something. I mean, I just used credentials admin to log in, which was not a pen testing to put it some way. It was something that was just curiosity that I never expected to happen, but it's not something that was entering without authorization into a system. I mean, imagine if you have a username that is, I don't know, Gabriel, and your password is, I don't know, it is podcast. Okay, and there's another Gabriel in the system whose username is Gabriel1 with the post. I don't know. You can actually make a typo, and then so entering admin certain credentials and access into a system it's not like I don't consider that as a way of hacking. Yeah, so it was not aggressive. The second time, it was just having the URL, a URL of the system, and just changing in the parameters one number. So I was not actually infecting the system with any kind of malicious code or attacking or I don't know doing a scan of ports, trying to find any kind of service there that could be exploited. No, no, it was very simple and not intrusive or at all. So my recommendation would be, first of all, never, of course, do any kind of penetration testing on a system you are not authorized to. I mean, have a contract where you are being allowed to perform certain tests on a system with the scope clearly defined and cover yourself with that. Never test, do a pen test on a system that you don't have the permission to do it. That's not only because of legal reasons, but of course also because of ethical reasons. I mean, I'm not going to go and try to knock on, I don't know, touch the windows of the house of the neighbor to see if they're open or not. Not because it's being legal or illegal, because it's not. Yeah, it's not my house, so I have permission to do that. And second, should you accidentally find some problem in terms of security of a system, well, um, reporting security problems is probably one of the most valuable inputs for an information security management system in terms of, okay, somebody reporting a problem, somebody helping us fix something that can be affecting very well the system. So yeah, please, if you find something, report it. Yeah, and in the world reporting is like yeah, everybody the best practice is encourage reporting in companies. Yeah, give I don't know incentives to people for reporting. Yeah, they all try to make people report, not ignore. But in this case, okay, what happened to me? Then what was the effect? The effect was that people became aware of what happened to me and they were reporting, but then they say, stop, I, I am doing what Alberto did. How do I know if I report something now to the third, the same thing wouldn't happen to me? And some people actually contact me and then contact the third asking, okay, do I have any legal guarantees to protect me in case I report something, and the third say no, no, no. So still after my case, people will eventually end up like me because of reporting. Okay, that's a very bad message. That is not encouraging reporting, it's causing the opposite. uh, okay, in Uruguay there are no back, back bounty programs. So what do you do? Okay, if I should happen to right now find a problem in a system in my country, okay, depends on the system, depends on many things. But should I think that okay, this should be solved for certain reasons? Okay, I will find a way of reporting that in a way that okay, cannot the report cannot be traced to me. My identity I will protect, and they would get a report in some way. Yeah, it's important to report, but um, yeah, I wouldn't do it with identifying myself if I had to do it. I think in other countries there are other warranties and they have bounty programs and other ways of, yeah, basically making it much easier for a researcher to deal with this. But still, in South America, Latin America, I know many cases of many professionals that didn't end up in prison, but they ended up in a police station interrogated because of certain things that they have found, and it's not nice. It's really a situation that should be avoided. We should protect those researchers and go actually after the criminals. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
It's a weird thing because you want to have permission to poke around, but that's not what the bad guys are going to do. They're not going to ask for permission. And so if you don't have people exploring a little bit and having a little bit of immunity from doing that, then it's just going to be a more dangerous place on the internet overall. So I hope that's something that companies can wrap their heads around at some point. And I wanted to just get one more question here for you, Alberto. And this is an important part of your story as well, is that you said that when you were going through this, you were demonized in the media. I was even looking at your AMA on Reddit many years ago, and people were saying things like, "Oh, you say that you're a hacker, so basically they were suggesting that if you say you're a hacker, that's just a bad thing." And so they had a complete misunderstanding about what that term means. And so you were demonized in the media. The media didn't want to hear your side of the story. They just assumed the worst. And then as you tell the story, when you finally got exonerated, the media didn't want to hear from you at all. They didn't want to hear from you whatsoever. And it was during the Darknet Diaries episode that you really got to tell your story. And so, what have you learned? What is your takeaway of, let's say, the mainstream media, the government media these days? And yeah, what was your experience of that and that phenomenon of them not wanting anything to do with you unless it was bad news that they had to say?
Well, when it comes to hacking and hacker, I never call myself a hacker. Actually, I was an information security professional or cybersecurity professional, whatever you want to call it. But then the media giving me the title of hacker was like, wow, now I'm a hacker. And I said, okay, you know, in the world of hacking, a hacker is somebody who, you cannot self-proclaim yourself a hacker. A hacker is actually a title that other people in the community gave to you as a recognition for what you are doing, what you are sharing, what you are providing to the community, the knowledge you are giving to others. It's like a recognition. It's a recognition. It's a prize, and it's something that is beautiful that you cannot get. Okay, basically, you cannot go to the university and get a degree on a hacker. No, you cannot buy it. It's something that they it's like trust. you cannot buy trust. Trust is something that's an award that other people give to you, recognizing certain things about you, and it's beautiful. And that for me, calling myself a hacker, yeah, I am proud of that. But still, I have to tell you, my mother, she always, when she enters, that she enters into my Twitter account or other places, and yeah, and I put that I am a hacker, my mother tells me, son, why don't you change the word hacker? Because yeah, that looks so bad. I said, Mom, okay, the word hacker in Spanish, okay, it has two meanings. Thanks to Chema Alonso, a famous Spanish hacker that made a petition in change.org many years ago, the Real Academia Española, that is basically, yeah, it's the it's where everything related to the Spanish language is being done in terms of definition of words, everything related to Spanish is being actually defined, corrected, blah blah blah, etc. Okay, first they had the hacker was a computer pirate. But then, thanks to the change.org petition, they said, okay, that was the first definition. The second was a person would that was very skilled into computers, technology, and was, I don't know, identifying weaknesses in systems and implementing or, I don't know, yeah, correcting problems in order to make the system more secure. Yeah, basically, more or less, that was the second acception of the word hacker in Spanish in the dictionary. So, okay, mom, being a hacker is not being a criminal. Yeah, it's not like that. Yeah, and I think that in English, if you look up for the word hacker in the dictionary in English, you also have both acceptions of the word hacker. It's like, yeah, the bad guy, but also the good guy is also a hacker. That's why we have those. Yeah, I really don't like the hats. I mean, the white hat, the gray hat, the black hat. I don't know why, but okay, it's like you have the one who is good, the one who's a criminal. I don't say it's bad, it's just a plain criminal. And then you have the one that is there in that gray line. But okay, I'm colorblind, so I'm not good with black and white. Just kidding. No, I don't. I feel that I don't like the labeling the hackers because of wearing a hat of certain color. But yeah, I mean, the hacker is just Hollywood and the media that have basically made the perception of the people, okay, being completely orientated to hacker means a criminal bad guy. So whenever somebody realizes I'm speaking to somebody, I said I'm a hacker. Imagine I am in a store buying clothes in front of a woman, and for some reason it happened the woman realized that I am a hacker. The reaction is the woman started smiling with fear, and she says, "Please don't hack my cellular." It's like, yeah. So yeah, but that's all because of Hollywood and because of the media having done that. I am a member of Hacking is Not a Crime organization that basically is working in order to change that because yeah that is something that is not okay. Being a hacker hacking is not a crime as the organization says, uh, but yeah, for the justice system, okay, I think here in Uruguay, if they say, oh, this guy is a hacker, okay, basically implying that that guy is a cyber criminal, which is not okay. But still, I think that I have to adapt myself to that in order to, yeah, to live in this world. It won't change overnight that perception of the people. of hacker, and well, I mean, but still, I am proud of being a hacker, and I am actually not only in the media, even in social networks such as in Twitter. Me being a hacker, actually, I will go into public places at Twitter spaces and just to listen to conversations, and they see my bio and they freak out and they block and remove me from the space. And yeah, because I'm a hacker, which is completely fine. I mean, I say it's complete. I don't really. It doesn't really bother me or upset me. I just found it funny how, yeah, people can have that preconception about somebody. Yeah, having hacker in their bio, which I will not remove because of that, because I'm proud of that. And if people don't like it, it's not my problem. Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting topic. The word hacker that even my mom, me explaining her so many times, she still tells me, son, can you would you why don't you change that word hacker in your bio in certain place? And I explained to my mother, and she doesn't understand.
Well, look, interesting conversation we had here. I really appreciate your story and your input, Alberto. I'm going to give you the final thoughts here. We'll link people to your website. You have your book. You have done a lot of interesting interviews and things of this sort. I'm just going to give you the final thoughts here for the audience.
In this world right now, actually, I don't know who can listen to this. I mean, tech savings, people in cybersecurity, people in cryptocurrencies, my mom. I mean, uh, yeah, in this world, I mean, everything is becoming zeros and one in systems. So, uh, mm, yeah, I mean, our information, our private information, is not in our hands anymore. It's in hands of systems of not of the government or private companies. And yeah, I mean, we should actually, yeah, trust that those who are in custody of our information are treating that information in a proper way. Unfortunately, yeah, sometimes, yeah, they don't do it. And yeah, imagine in the case of the medical provider, somebody could have actually leaked 200,000 medical records of people that have nothing to do with that. It was the medical provider who should have taken the measures, controls to protect that, and they didn't. Okay, well, so be aware of, okay, that your information is out there, and your privacy is being not in your hands but in hands of others. So yeah, be careful and just try to prevent giving much more than you have to give in order to live in this world, to companies, to serve, I don't know, to well, to the government. You have not option sometimes, but yeah, it's very sad. But you have to, yeah, you have to be aware that, yeah, our privacy is really not on our hands. And just mm, make sure that, okay, just what you can protect it, and don't give your private information to those who don't need it, and protect that's all you can do. And yeah, and I cannot pretend this from my 72-year-old mom, in terms of being aware of all the best practice in security and all that. But okay, I, my point would be like, okay, the platforms, those who provide services on the internet, or any kind of system, okay, they should take measures in order to protect their users, like, okay, teenagers or minors or social networks, protect them from predators, and protect them from social scammers. And yeah, I mean, they have the tools, they can identify those users even before they contact the victim, for example, the technology they have. So yeah, I mean, there should be a pressure on those providers to implement more, not more, to implement measures to protect their users out there. Yeah, that's it. And then if you are a victim of a crime, cybercrime, yeah, report it and don't be ashamed. You're just a victim. If you can share your story, you can help others. So yeah, and everybody can be a victim of a cybercrime, including myself. Nobody is free of that. So if you are, it's not the end of the world. Just report it and share that. It's completely fine. You can help others. Yeah, that would be my final thoughts.
Hey, thanks for listening. I could really use your help real quick. If you could share this episode with someone, engage with me, leave a review anywhere, this helps me to break the technocratic shadow banning that is happening with my brand. And of course, if you really want to escape the technocracy, go to escapethetechnocracy.com. Privacy tutorial series, books, newsletters, consulting, and of course, you can leave a donation. Thank you very much.